Yes, you are watching the Sports Dish. Clem Chaze is my name, and just remind you, we come your way Monday to Friday, and we discuss sports, and of course, local sports. So Ugandan sports does take the lion's share, and like we love to do it, we enjoy having people come in studio to tell their own stories, because sometimes when we try to tell those actual stories, I mean, sometimes we're not giving you the first-hand information, and we shall be looking at the sport of volleyball, because just a few years ago, a team was formed all the way from Iganga, Orange Blockbusters, and of course we never got to really know much about them because of the pandemic. But this season, somebody can say they came, they saw, and they conquered, because their men's team did win the National Volleyball League, beating Anemo Stars in that final, 3-2. On the other hand, their ladies team also gained promotion to the ladies Serie A, because they were champions of Serie B, and we are happy and honored to have the patron of Orange Blockbusters, or you can call them OBBB. No, OBB. Ahmed Chigudu with us. He's also, by the way, a vice president with the Uganda Volleyball Federation. But today, the discussion is Orange Blockbusters. For starters, why Orange Blockbusters, and when was this dream born?
Why orange? Why orange Blockbusters? Because we are orange.
No, why Orange? Why the name Orange Blockbusters?
This came by the time we began this club in 1997.
Oh, it's that old.
I heard you are saying that a few years ago.
Kumbe.
It is 1997. That was in October like that. It was in a joking way. We used to play things like be there, then you fight for the chapatis there, somebody's holding a circuit there, whoever wins. That's how the name began. It did not begin with Orange Blockbusters, it was Obabi Wam Obiwem.
The slogan you've carried on.
Yes, Obabi Wam Obiwem. What was the meaning? Yeah, it's a Soga word. What was the meaning about that? That whatever happens, let it happen, but whoever wins has to take it all. Those circuits of chapatis that we used to put aside. Zigweo. But winner takes it all. That was by then with Mr. Antege. I think he's in prisons. And so when we went on, we started picking interest to take it on to another level. So we began with tournaments. And when we saw tournaments, they used to come and pick good talents from OBB to these league clubs by then. So we picked interest to take the club on. So we saw the name of Abiwam, it will not make that sense when we go to the national level. So we had to come up with a name. And that's how it came, Orange Blockbusters. It was a suggestion brought in by Mr. Antege, and all of us we conquered and say, let us go on with it. That's how it began, 1997. Not 2000,
not
most
of
the
late.
people think.
Actually, that makes OBB older than teams like Nemo Stars.
Yes.
And most of these other teams that have been around that we thought that have probably been old enough. Then the journey, of course, when do you decide that it is now time to take it serious as a volleyball club?
I had chance of moving out of the country. While I was there, my heart still was in Uganda. And some other things regarding the business, and even in sports way, volleyball. I used to help my people that I used to leave behind there with some small things. So when I returned, I was not engaged in sports directly, but they used to call me. By then they were in UCU, they used to come to UCU. So I used to come to run there for a few minutes, I go back. So the challenge that I saw with some clubs that used to, how can I take it, to take things for granted. And I used to look at OBB as something very, very deep down there. And when I used
more serious and organized than some of the elite clubs inside.
No, it was not organized by them. They used to look at them as like Kasasura people down, not KCCS all about that. But those down people were there from a very deep village. But I saw there was potential if at all we pull up our socks. So in 1997, in 2017, 2018, it was in Serie C. I think it was their second time to be in Serie C. I told by then the administrators of the club that, you know what, we have to do this and this and this and this. If you accept, then I'm going to put my mind first on you. If you give me the mandate, this is what I can achieve to you. And one of them was to bring the trophy of Serie A. By then we're in Serie C. Of course they laughed, just like how I had the discussion with the managers. They laughed because I saw the strategies to use. One of them, they had that thinking that the club has to belong to typically only people speaking Lusoga. I told them, if you are playing a national league, it doesn't matter. What matters is the name. So it doesn't matter which kind of player is in the club. So they bought my idea, and in the second round of Serie C, I was given a mandate to take on the club. I must assure I was the touchline coach.
The inaugural coach in the league.
Yes, throughout the Serie C second round, I took it up to playoffs till the finals. I think finals we played a club called AK. It's coming from Prisons. We were runners up. And I told my players, that's not our target. Our target was to be promoted to Serie B. Our target was to be promoted to Serie B. And we went there. So coming to Serie B, plus myself, I saw that I may not balance very well my work and the club. And remember, most of my businesses are based in Kampala. And these people trained from Iganga, which was, by the way, a worry to my management people. They thought maybe I might try to talk with them and tell them the club, let us go and train from and based in Kampala. So no way. We are from Iganga, and it's going to remain. No matter what kind of players we are bringing, whether it's
these are the roots.
Yes, whether the player is coming from the western or from the northern, the roots are in Iganga. So they listened to me. We brought in a new coach. That was Honorius Michael by that time, who also had his own ideas, the interests of players. We gave him the mandate, and which we conquered with him. He helped us through the club, and we came to Serie C, to Serie A, where now the real business began.
Your first season, as a man that comes in, your first season in Serie A, what was your target?
Our first season in Serie A, which for us as the management, was to make sure, much as we were being called the underdogs, the only way to survive in Serie A, the target is to play playoffs. So if our target was not playoffs, you never know. Maybe we'll be down there, or maybe relegated back, like that club that we came with. So we gave the mandate to the coach that, not to the coach, but to our management ourselves, but we must reach Serie A. How can we reach there? We have to find a suitable coach. So some of the names were suggested to us, and I may not mention some of the names that were being given. We spoke to them. 3 of them had accepted, so we had to go to the real person who has to be there for the club. And that's how the journey began. So when we were receiving the coach, also him came with his own views. And
that's Yakan Lawrence.
Yes, Yakan Lawrence, with his own views, which he has a mandate to him to make sure that he sells it to us to accept. So he did that. He convinced us, and we accepted.
What informed the idea of hiring Yakan Lawrence? Because he doesn't have a very rich CV as a coach. Many people know him predominantly as a player.
True. What we liked about Yakan that our team lacked by that time was discipline. The bonding of players all together at one time. So when you look at Yakan, he has got that. The players listen to him. Whether he's there, whether he's not there, they do listen to him. So his common language, the leadership on court there and at our training grounds, to us it was a plus that bonded the players all together, and we saw something out of them.
Yeah, and of course the first season that you played in the league, I know that I interacted with most of these people, Yakan himself, Ivan Ongom at the start, and these guys were confident they could take on anyone going into the season. And of course the 2 most important games that everyone was looking to at the start of the season were the first round games against Sports and Nemosters, because these are the teams that many people had looked at and thought would go on to win the championship. The first one against Sports, dismissed in, I think, under an hour in straight sets, and people are like, no, now this OBB business might not work. And I remember interacting with him, and he was still very confident. And Nemo Stars, I think that's when people started taking them serious now, because Nemo Stars took the first set at Old Kampala, and OBB came back to win 3-1 in the first round. And people now started taking them serious. Then, of course, they got a result, I think, against Sports in the second round. And you would say they started to show the teams they were top of the table at some point in the regular season. And yeah, I think it's a team that you cannot accuse them of breaking the bank after you assemble that team. Because when you look at the players that...
well, in volleyball circles, that is breaking the bank.
No. For who? I think Ivan...
for the coach.
Ivan, yeah, for the coach. And, No. I mean, these are guys that were around predominantly. If you ask people for example, the center players of OBB, they have been...
No, of course not for the entire team.
Yeah, so I don't think they really broke the bank to set that team. You can look at the investment and you say it is, you balance the team, for example, OBB, and compare to what Sports invested. You look at the assembled team at Nemo Stars, you'd be right to call them the underdogs. But they came out and really did the business. Yakan, of course, you can say they broke the bank, but he was coaching in the league for the first time in the top flight. So I think it's a team that has, you'd say, if you say that they overachieved in the first season, you'd not be wrong. And maybe that's where my question might be. After winning the league in your first season, then what becomes the target? Because many teams come into the top flight and the idea is to survive relegation. Then the next season you see if you can go to the playoffs. Now you've come, and on the first time of asking, you've won the league. What kind of pressure do you then face going into the next seasons, and what are the targets for the club?
What I can assure you is that our target now is not the challenge people say that we are faced a lot ahead, especially in the league, in our local league here, that we are going to be the team to beat.
Yeah.
True, but our main target this year or this season is not on the national level. Our target is on the continent where we are going.
Already?
Yeah, and the recruitment we have been following up is we were targeting exactly what these other clubs in these other countries we are going to face, how they are. Personally, I'm always following them. Teams in Al Ahly, that is in Egypt. This Tunis team in Tunisia. We have been Esperance in, I think, Libya.
Tunisia also.
In Tunisia. We have been following them to see how they are trying to cope up with. So the recruitment we made, especially at both the men and the ladies, that is looking at that potential. In case you qualify and you go there, how are you going to be stable there? Are you going to just participate? So these are the kind of the things that we are looking at during our recruitment time. And another thing before the Serie A, which I just concluded, when we are making our recruitment, there's one of our managers in the team, the lady, she's called Maggie. One thing she told me is that there are certain players who are good there, but they have not been on the spot. They have not been within the country. Let us look for them. That's how I came to land on Ongom, Ivan. That's how I came to land on Atama Xavier. Unfortunately, he did not happen to play for us. The same thing now regarding this ending recruitment, which has just ended recently, regarding the ladies.
And the man still wants to tell us maybe didn't break the bank.
No, I mean
we did break the bank.
For the first season, I don't think they broke the bank.
Yeah, so. The same thing also to this season. We didn't break the bank.
No, but I mean, in our small volleyball circle, that is breaking the bank.
It is not, because there are certain,
Marco
there is
Crute-
something that
Marco
came
Crute
to
was
you. There
all
is
over,
something.
no one was
No, but I
signing
mean,
him.
when you look at the ladies, I mean, you're recruiting Maureen Mwamula.
Oh yes,
Yes,
for
yes,
the
yes,
ladies.
Kakaidu.
That's
for
what
the
I'm talking
ladies,
about. It's not breaking the bank. You are seated,
Yeah.
thinking something different, and then something comes at your disposal. What do you do?
Oh.
You take it.
Yeah, because now the challenge has come. The team has just been promoted, and maybe you want. I remember still having a conversation with him, and he told me it is actually he believes it is easier to win the ladies' title
Than the
and
men.
than the men's. And
No, but-
when you look at the recruitment made, you've just mentioned Jessica Kaidu, Maureen Mwamura, Faith Magole. These were players with Ndeje in Tunisia.
Yeah,
just
but for me
recently.
also, with the current setup or situation,
Yeah.
it is easy also to win the men's title. This is why. You have a group of players who spent, let me say, 6 to 8 hours of their day on court training.
Yeah.
The kind of competition you have, somebody wakes up at 5 a.m. to go to the bank, to go wherever. They leave work at 5:30 or 6 to come for training. By the time they get to training at 6 or 6:30, 7:30, it is already dark. They can't train. And for me, I thought that was the difference between OBB and all these other teams they face, especially in the playoffs. You could see the difference in fitness and stuff like that. So unless the other teams also up their preparations to this level, it is always going to be easy for them
It
to
is
come
not,
out
it is
and
not easy
win
to
the
win
it
the
is true.
league. You ask Sportes.
You know, there is something that we always tell our players prior to signing you. We normally ask you what you are. Are you available, or are you going to be semi-available to us? So we ask them. If one tells me that, if one tells the management that I'm going to be full-time, so we consider that person as is on job.
Yeah.
And that's even how the coaches term you when they are giving you the sessions to train. So we have players who are with us, but partly they are working. An example is Marco Crute. He's working in Soroti, but he's part of the team. So we have his days or his times that he's always at the training grounds. So it depends on how the player, we have contracted that player to us.
Then when you talk about being dominant, because when you look at the kind of recruitment that OBB did, especially with the ladies, it is pretty much obvious that the team is supposed to be at the top, both for the ladies and for the men. Looking at the long term, somebody would ask, how are you shaping up the structures of this institution to make sure that what is started now actually keeps on yielding results?
One, financially, is something we are setting up. We're very much sure we know it's going to stand the club. And then regarding to the athletes themselves, why we pick these experienced players is to show the young ones in the club exactly what they should be doing. And I'm very much more happy about the new recruits in the ladies, that is the likes of Kaidu and Maureen and Faith, what they are showing these young lads down there, what they should do. Remember, they have got the experience of going even outside. They have seen what is there. Then standing in the club, we have got academies that are feeding us. We have academy in Mbarara that is feeding the club on the ladies section. We have academy here in Kampala, in Gayaza, that is Wakiso, Trust High School. It is feeding the club. There are young kids that are growing. So I'm more sure that it could be either one season we might make a recruitment in ladies. Otherwise, we are going to be just getting from our...
For me, the idea of the academy is very much welcome, and I believe that's the way to go. For me, the question now goes to the people who are in charge of these academies and recruiting. I don't think they are paying attention to detail. And for me, the biggest of them all is the issue of height. We all know volleyball and the advantage that comes with having height on your team. And
probably one day...
I don't think they are recruiting, yes, but
probably
I don't
one
think
day I will take you to one of these camps and you see what is there.
In the laboratory, in the factory.
They have not yet reached to the level that we want them to the people to see them. Otherwise, if I take you there, you will see that the focus we are on is that team in Kenya, which recently took the club championship. Their heights, they are more than me. So that's where we are going. And I believe if the focus for OBB stays on like this in the ladies team, it could be good for us.
Yeah, and maybe
and good for the nation.
Of course, the men's team has already qualified for the club championships. Then what is the target? Why even play at this championship? What will you be looking to achieve? Because we have teams here that have said it clear that whether we win the league or not, we will not be traveling.
We don't have money to waste.
Yeah, as OBB, when you go for this championship, what are you looking to achieve from there?
There I may speak as the first vice president to answer you that one.
Of
The reason,
Volleyball Federation.
yes, the reason as to why I'm mostly interested in that club, the Continental Championship, is the exposure of our talent. If a person is recruited from OBB or Sportes or Nemo to go and further on that sports field services, it's a plus for the nation. If you look at what he's doing outside there, it is so much of benefit to us. Angelo was there for a few months, but when he came back, the last times that we've been seeing him is a different Angelo from the Angelo we saw. So we believe when these these players are exposed beyond this country, they have more chances to get more chances somewhere else. We don't care whether a club is going to lose as OBB. It may lose as an authority, but probably financially, there's something that is going to come to there.
I interacted with people of KCB, and the Bitok, Paul Bitok was telling me that when they started this project, going on to win the Africa Cup now, they got about 4 players who are earning $2,500 and above.
You're talking about 80 million Ghana shillings and more in salaries
a month.
Yeah, so you can imagine if you have someone that is earning that much if it is a Ugandan earning that money anyway, I think it would be huge. Some teams have not appreciated.
If it's a Ugandan athlete, they will not perform.
They will be too
and we have so many examples we can give.
Why not? They will perform. They will perform.
They will be too
I have some athleticism I know.
They get too comfortable.
No, I don't think. Unless it is the club that is not sure of what it is having. If you are being paid such kind of a money and a person is taking things for granted.
No, I'm saying that usually from the background of, let me say, football, because it is the sport that we know that pays that kind of money in Uganda. And we know so many of them who play for teams that don't pay, and they are playing with their hearts on their sleeves. They are signed by teams that pay very well, and they go to bed, they don't perform again. So
that is
not to say that teams should not pay.
No, they should, but maybe
there should be a quotation on signing you. To earn that kind of money.
How has it been for you running the club financially? It should be very tough financially. How much do you spend on these teams? Isn't it quite a lot for Ugandan sports standards?
Especially today, you have a chairman of National Council of Sports who can no longer fund his basketball team.
Team collapsed. Say they are going to come back in the
first. I have to appreciate those individuals and the companies that have been running to us whenever we got them for funds. At least we have not laid them down. We paid them up by showing what we did last season. And I must tell them, please don't give up on us. We are still coming ahead. We are hosting the National Club Championship, which we should make sure things stay there. Running a club is expensive. And what makes it more expensive, especially to this field of volleyball, is transport. Transporting the club every weekend from Iganga to Kampala, and you have to house them, you have to feed them. That I think is the most expensive thing, which any club can not easily sustain. That's why you see sometimes clubs, you have walkovers. We have seen Gulu doing this several times. Although as the federation, we are trying to make sure we do something about that to avoid, at least we share. We share those transport costs with some clubs also having some kind of movement. But running a club is not easy. It's expensive. But if your focus is not easy, you give up. Our focus right now, last year, has been on the club themselves. This year, our main target as the management that we are going to give more focus is the funds. How are we getting those funds together? And how are the funds going to benefit the club? How are the funds going to lift the club? That is where now our focus is. And if all goes well, we may start seeing that with this national club championship we are hosting in Iganga.
Yeah, and maybe finally, how has the community accepted this? When you go around Iganga, how have they received the baby that is OBB?
Iganga, I think now we are trying to lift it through volleyball. By then, it was Iganga Town Council.
The football team.
Football team. I remember that times I was one of the fans who used to go inside there. When you talk about Iganga, you're talking about that club, Iganga Town Council. And when you go there, Casey a lot used to go there. And when you go there, you just know either you end up with tear gas or sticks. That time.
Especially when it is Villa in town.
Villa. But now we are trying to lift the image of Iganga using volleyball, which is OBB. And we thank the community that is slowly coming up to help us. Hopefully by MCC, the whole of Iganga will be orange.
Well, looks like the show has to come to an end, but Mr. Ahmed Chigundu, he has promised so many things. The team should be a giant killer, not only in Uganda, but also on the continent. And I'm very sure when that time comes, we shall have him here again to tell us how they are managing to pull through. That's all the time we had for you today on the show. Clive Chaze is my name. We did have Emans, and of course our guest for the day, Ahmed Chigundu, is the patron of Orange Blockbusters OBB. He's also the first vice president of Uganda Volleyball Federation. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place.